Hey you guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video I think is going to be a really fun one. I'm going to be talking about how I like to achieve a beautiful, glowy, glassy, glossy, dewy, any of those words would work, skin. This trend is all the rage right now, and honestly it's something that I think it's timeless. It always looks good because it always looks healthy. So today I'm going to share with you guys the products from the drugstore that I love to use to achieve this type of a look. Hopefully you guys are interested in this one. If you are not subscribed, I hope that you will consider subscribing, and let's go ahead and get started. So I'm going to kick things off with this right here is kind of a prep sort of primer. This is the Garnier Glow Boost Illuminating Moisturizer. I have been absolutely loving this stuff. It's not overly intense, but it really does have such a good feeling on the skin. It's almost kind of like cooling. I just really like this. I've been using it so often lately, and I'm just putting a really good amount of this on. So I think the secret with glowy skin is really good skin prep. So if you have oily skin, I can't really say the best way to prep your skin if you have oily skin because I don't have oily skin. But if you have dry skin, that means moisturizing like crazy. Adding that extra layer of moisturizer just gives you an extra amount of glow. So you could leave it there and then go in with your foundation, which we'll kind of talk about in just a sec, but I'm going to add even an extra step. This one's definitely not necessary. You could actually even just do another layer of the Glow Boost moisturizer if that's what you have on hand. But I'm going to go in with this one. This is the Milani Soft Focus Glow. This is a relatively new product to me, and I'm just taking that kind of on the points of my face that I want some extra glow, specifically on the high points of my cheekbones, a little bit on the sides of my forehead. And you can see that gives just a little bit of extra radiance. For foundation, I was debating between two drugstore foundations. The Flower Beauty Light Illusion foundation, which is one of my very favorites, but I have used that one recently, so today I'm going to be using the Mega Cushion by Wet n Wild. This one is in the shade Light Ivory. This is actually a little bit too light for my skin tone, but I did add a couple of drops of my Cover FX custom cover drops, which are a little bit too dark for my skin tone. And this is a very dewy, kind of wet feeling foundation. It's really healthy looking on your skin. So I often will apply this just with the little pad that comes with it, but today I'm just going to take this sponge by L'Oreal and we're just going to kind of tap that in there and just go directly onto the center of my face first, kind of around my nose and onto my cheekbones, and then work kind of outwards. Also, another good tip when it comes to creating really healthy looking skin is you want to pick a foundation that has anywhere from light to medium coverage. You definitely don't want to go over a medium coverage, even if you have some spots. You want to make sure that you conceal any spots or any acne scarring, any melasma with concealer rather than with your foundation, because the majority of your skin you want to kind of peek through a little bit. You want it to look almost as if you don't have makeup on. We want to fool people into thinking that we just kind of naturally look like this, which we don't. Wouldn't that be nice? Some people might. I don't know for sure. So again, I think the shade match of this, you can see, is just a little bit too light for me, and I actually did self-tan today, so I probably should not have done that knowing that I was going to be using this foundation. So I only dipped into this 2, maybe 3 times. I think I dipped in once, kind of went over on this side, dipped in again, went over on this side, and dipped in a little bit more to go on my forehead and on my chin. And then I just kind of been distributing all of that product evenly over my face, which is going to kind of sheer out the coverage even a little bit more. But that's kind of my goal for this look. So for concealer today, I'm going to be taking my Maybelline Instant Age Rewind. This is in the neutralizer shade. We're just going to do a little bit of concealing underneath my eyes. I want to go all the way up into that little shadow right there because I really don't want any shadowing on my face. And this is a really great concealer because it's really good coverage, but it's very lightweight and sheer. So it works really well with full coverage looks and also with really light coverage looks. So before I blend that in, I'm also applying it to any kind of pigmentation marks. I have some acne scars. If you have spots that need to be concealed really well, so if you have like active breakouts or really intense pigmentation, I think it works best to actually use your finger to blend concealer out. The sponge is going to take a little bit of the coverage away from a concealer, I find, but if I use my finger, I'll get a little bit more intense coverage from my concealer. But if you can, I would avoid going in with too much concealer. Really only put the concealer where you absolutely need it. Even if that means letting a spot or two kind of just show through. I think when it comes to this makeup look, that's kind of the beauty of a look like this, because I think that because it's supposed to mimic like human skin, real skin, it's okay if you have flaws that are peeking through, because we're all human, regardless of our age. We all have flaws in our skin. And I think that with this type of a look, you can kind of just like let those flaws sort of be and show. And that's kind of a great thing, because sometimes we can't cover those flaws no matter how freaking hard we try. Okay, so I'm really happy with how that looks right now. Let's go ahead and move into bronzers. So I think to achieve a true, like, glowy, glossy, healthy looking skin, the more cream products you can use, the better, because I definitely think that cream products will always look a little bit more natural than a powder product. Even if you use a powder product and then go in with like a nice glowy setting spray, that can certainly help you get that sort of effect, and you definitely can do that. But I just think a cream product looks a little bit more natural, especially if you have dry skin. If you struggle with powder products emphasizing dryness on your already dry skin, cream products are actually going to do the opposite. They're emphasizing moisture, they're adding moisture to your skin. So that, I think, if you have dry skin, if you're a little bit older and you want to achieve that look, is almost necessary. I'm not going to pretend like I'm an expert at using cream products. I generally use powder products because I find them to be a little bit faster, a little bit easier to use, but I have recently been getting a little bit more into cream products. So we're going to be doing that today. For bronzer, we're going to be using the Wet n Wild contour stick. This one is in the shade Where's Walnut. So I'm just running a stripe of that kind of from my hairline right here in the hollow of my cheek down to about where my eye starts. So about this area right here. And then we'll kind of blend it upwards and just make it look a little bit more natural. Obviously this doesn't look natural at all. And again on this side, I'm also going to add a little bit just under my chin. You don't have to do this part. This, I think, is a little bit more of an advanced sort of contour look, and I'm not advanced, but I like to pretend like I'm advanced, so I'm going to do it anyways. The great thing about this product is it doesn't set down too quickly, so if you go overboard or get it in a place that you don't want it, you actually can kind of fix it and wipe it off if you absolutely need to. I'm also going to take a couple of dots of this just kind of right up here next to my hairline, and a little bit on the side of my nose. And again, I think the sides of your nose and under your chin are optional if you feel like it, if you're brave and you want to try it. But I'm going to start by blending those areas first, because I don't want the product that I get on my brush from these other areas that have a little bit more product to end up putting too much product on these kind of delicate, more sensitive areas. And I'm not going to lie, you guys, I don't normally contour my nose. So if you are looking at me and critiquing me not doing this correctly, you're probably right. I probably am not doing it correctly, but fake it till you make it. That's what I say. So now I'm going to start blending on the cheek area. Now, I forgot to mention, when it comes to the brush that you're using for a cream contour, I like something that's relatively small and very, very dense. This one is by Moda Brushes. You could also use something like this. This one is by Luxie. This one's not quite as dense as I would like it to be. I like this one because it is seriously dense. I know that Real Techniques makes a brush very similar to this, I believe, like a smaller, dense brush. I also have this one from It Cosmetics. This one's a little bit larger. I prefer this one because it is a little bit more small, a little bit more dense, but this one would also work. This is the It Cosmetics Airbrush Complexion, I believe, brush. It's the double-ended brush. So I'm going to take this brush, I'm going to just kind of start tapping it onto that contour and slightly pulling it up. You definitely want to tap more than you rub, just because the more you rub, the more you'll actually move kind of the product underneath. And we want to try and like not disturb that foundation that we have underneath. And I also don't want to get this color too far below this line. So we're going to blend this out without pulling it downwards. So I'm kind of placing my brush right towards the bottom of where we placed that stripe of contour and we're kind of a bronzer, and slightly tapping upwards. And then I just kind of take what's left and just start to go in a little bit wider of an area just to diffuse. And now for my hairline, I'm kind of doing the same thing for my hairline. So I'm just kind of tapping and pulling kind of backwards slightly towards my hair. My hair is really dirty right now, so I'm really hoping this doesn't break me out. So when you're doing this, if you have really light hair, or if you have like silver hair or like really light kind of ashy blonde platinum hair, you can still do this and then just take like a makeup wipe and kind of take most of the wetness off of your makeup wipe, so you can actually get a makeup wipe and kind of dab it onto a clean rag, and then take that slightly damp makeup wipe and hold your hair back and just wipe the remaining makeup off of your hair. If that's a problem for you, that's something that does help. But it is important that you pull that product kind of up onto your hairline, otherwise you're going to have this little white like gap right there that just makes it look unnatural. So half of my brush is in my actual hair, half of it is on my forehead, and we're just kind of tapping backwards and blending that right into our actual hair. But hopefully you guys can see how natural that looks. Okay, now let's take care of this stripe. This is driving me nuts. In fact, dang it, I should have done this first, because now I'm going to break out on my cheekbone. Mark my words, you guys will see a video from me shortly where I'll have a nice big breakout right here on my left. So really take your time. I mean, it's going to be faster if you swipe back and forth, but trust me, it looks better if you just can take your time and kind of tap. As I get to this front area, I kind of like to circle it upwards just so it looks more rounded kind of right here, because a natural bronze is actually going to bronze up your cheeks quite a bit. We are going to be putting blush on, but I want the blush and the bronzer kind of to overlap and sort of merge together. So now I'm just going to blend out my jaw area, and for this one you actually can kind of drag it back and forth rather than tap it, but you want to make sure that you don't drag it kind of up onto the edge of your jaw here. If you find that you do that, you can take a clean cotton pad and just kind of slightly wipe right there, because if you're looking up, you don't want that bronze color to really show on your actual jawline. You want to keep it in the shadow and below. So after kind of blending that out, I'm just kind of dragging it down a little bit to sort of soften that line, and you can pull it down onto your neck a little bit as well, just to make sure that you don't have any sort of lines right there. And I actually even like to pull just what's left on my brush sort of here underneath my ear. I'm not sure how I feel about this under the lip kind of contour, so I'm just going to go back in with my foundation sponge and just sort of diffuse that, aka erase it. Alright, so I'm really happy with how that looks. I mean, I haven't even applied any highlighter, any blush, but I feel like my complexion looks really just healthy, and that's kind of, I think, the idea, is just to keep the moisture on your skin. So for cream blush today, I went out and purchased something. Just keep in mind, I have not tried this out very much. I just bought this yesterday, so technically I've tried this twice. I wore it yesterday and then I swatched it sort of on my hand when I got into the car. But this is the L'Oreal Infallible Shaping Stick. This is in the shade Cheeky Dimension. They had two shades at my Walmart. They had this kind of peachy shade that's a little bit deeper. Then they had a slightly lighter, more pink version of this one. I decided to go with this one because this is the type of blush color that I just am really into right now. And to me, this is kind of that perfect mix between a pink and a peach. So what I thought I would do to apply this today, because I'm not very experienced with this one, is wipe off the contour stick that's left on this brush, and then just kind of tap it on with my finger and then tap it in with this thing. So I'm going to take this just on my ring finger and just really lightly tap it kind of right on the outer part of the apple of my cheek. I like to start on the outer part of my apple because we'll kind of blend that slightly in, kind of tap back a little bit, and then we're going to take the brush and I'm just going to really lightly try and tap that without dragging at all. So I wanted to, this morning I was actually painting my nails this morning and watching YouTube, and I don't know how many of you guys watch Shelby Wilson here on YouTube. I love her channel. She has a very natural but cool makeup and style aesthetic. I just love her makeup looks. She's way into cream products, and she was talking about, I think it was a liquid blush just recently, and it just got me even more excited to kind of try this thing out. Look how pretty that is though. Doesn't that look so pretty and natural? I was actually really hoping that my Walmart would have the Flower Beauty, are they blush bombs? I think that's what they're called. I've been dying to try those, but I don't have an Ulta close to me, and I don't even know if my Ulta carries many Flower Beauty products, so I really need to order that one online. I think that looks so pretty. But hopefully you guys can kind of see just how pretty that looks. We still kind of have a little bit of that sort of soft, skin-like, natural, sort of glowy finish. So I'm going to leave it there for now, and if we need to add a little bit more when we're kind of done with everything, we can do that a little bit later. Now we're going to go into highlighter, and I would be willing to bet those of you that watch my other videos can guess which highlighter I'm going to be picking. It is the Makeup Revolution Liquid Illuminator, or Liquid Highlighter in the shade Champagne. So I recently became the owner of the Wet n Wild Halo Glow, Hello Halo drops, and I have to say, these are okay. This is way better. But what I love so much about this one felt a little bit oily to me, and I'm okay with that, but I just feel like it's not going to stay in place very well. This one definitely sets down, but it doesn't dry down. So it doesn't dry to a powder finish. You still can maintain that kind of healthy moisture look to your skin that a liquid or a cream highlighter would have, but it does set and stays in place all day. It has a really beautiful soft finish, a soft sheen to it. I just think this is such a good product, and I don't know why no one talks about it. I would love to know. I know I've been talking about this for a while. How many of you guys have picked this thing up? I'm sure there's people out there are reasons they may not like this thing, because we all have different makeup preferences and tastes, but I would love to know how many of you guys have tried this and what you think of it and how you use it, because I love it so much. Another highlighter I would highly recommend for this type of a look, if you are into more of a high-end price tag or a high-end product, the Stila Heaven's Hue highlighters. They're kind of like a sort of a spongy texture highlighter. Those are beautiful highlighters, especially if you have even more mature skin than I have. I'm in my late 30s. So if you're in, say, your 40s and 50s and above, and you're very particular about highlighters and if they emphasize texture, because I would imagine I don't have a huge amount of texture yet on my eye area right here, but if you're a little bit older and you do have quite a bit of texture there, I would say the Stila one is even better, because the shimmer quality of the Stila one is even a little bit more refined and a little bit more sheer, so it's very almost undetectable on the skin. This one's a little bit more detectable, but I don't find it to emphasize my personal texture. So when I'm putting highlighter on, I like to place it kind of right there on the top of my cheekbone, and then take a clean finger and sort of tap over it slightly above and below. And then I have just a little bit left. I'm going to take a tiny bit just kind of right here on the outer part of my upper brow area. And I'm really just kind of like tapping, pushing that into the skin a little bit, just to add a little bit of glow right there. Not much. I do have a lot of forehead wrinkles, and I don't really want to emphasize those. So there is my finished complexion for now. I hope that you can tell kind of just, it does look, to me in person, it looks just more healthy. There's definitely a lighter coverage. It doesn't look like I'm wearing a ton of makeup. You can still see some of my spots through my makeup, and I'm absolutely okay with that. So really quickly, I just want to move into brows. I'm going to go in with a little bit of my ColourPop brow pencil, which I do have to mention this. I've recently said that I love this brow pencil, and I do still really like it, but someone mentioned that they ran through it really quickly, and I have to totally agree. I am almost out, and this is not my most reached for brow pencil, so I was really surprised when I twisted this thing up and realized that it was almost gone. Also, the spoolie fell off. So if that kind of thing bugs you, keep that in mind. All right, and then to set those in place, I'm actually just going to take my e.l.f. little brow stick here, and I just want to add a little bit of texture to them. So I'm kind of pushing pretty hard and putting quite a bit of this into my brows, and then I'm going to really comb them out really well, because I want them to look like they have a lot of texture. I could also use soap, which I've never actually done. I've mentioned that to people, and I've even recommended it to people that ask me about brows, because I hear such good things about it. I've seen such cool things with soap brows. And I have a bar of soap that I bought specifically to try that technique out. And it's still up in my bathroom. I haven't brought it down here yet. But how many of you guys have tried out the soap brow thing? Let me know. Maybe I'll try it out on my channel for you guys. But I do really quickly just want to do a quick eye look. We're going to go in with this. This is the Milani Everyday Eyes Must Have Naturals palette. These are such good palettes, and I haven't used this one for a while. So keeping with the drugstore theme, I'm going to take the Essence I Heart Stage eyeshadow base. This is not my very favorite eyeshadow primer. I prefer the Wet n Wild one over this one, but I have it in my collection. I think it's okay. So I'm going to go ahead and use this one. So now I'm just going to take on my Morphe M504 brush, these two matte brown shades right here, and just really kind of combine them, pack them into my brush. And we're just going to take that kind of right there in the crease and slightly above. Now I'm going to take my MAC 217, and just in this lighter shade right here, I'm just going to load that up on my brush and just go kind of right above where I put those shades to sort of blend out any patchy sort of areas. Now I'm going to take just a little bit of this dark shade right here, and we're going to just kind of add a little bit to the tip of that 217 brush and just really concentrate it right on this corner right here. Now I'm going to put something a little bit more warm on my lid, because I'm not sure I love an all cool toned look with this like warm glowy base. For my lid, I'm going to grab another one of the Essence of Metal Shock liquid eyeshadows. I recently used one of these and so many of you guys said that you absolutely love these as well. I think they're such a good product. So this one is in the color Second to Mars, but we're going to go in with this one today. I'm just going to swipe this all over kind of the center of my lid and then we'll kind of tap it outwards. I'm just going to start by using my clean ring finger. So I like to start out with one layer and then kind of let it dry, go in to the other side, and then we'll add a tiny bit more to the center of the lid. I want a little bit more brightness on my inner corner, so I'm going to take the ColourPop Flexitarian. You actually could also take the liquid highlighter, put just a little bit of that on the back of your hand, and tap a little bit of that into the corner of your eye. This one's just a little bit more intense. One of my favorite inner corner shades by far. I reach for this almost every day. Alright, so now I think I'm just going to add a little bit of brown liner. You guys have probably seen me do this 100 times. I just am going to put a little bit of my Wet n Wild brown liner on my waterline and then on just this outer little corner of my eye, just giving me like a little baby wing. And then I'm going to put a couple coats of mascara on and I will be right back. Alright guys, so there are the finished eyes. I did go in with a couple coats of the Catrice Lashes to Kill mascara. This is a great mascara. I have so many mascaras open right now, honestly. It's kind of ridiculous, and I know they're all going to go bad before I can use them, but we're not talking about that today. So moving on to the lips, I'm going to go in with the ColourPop Lippy Pencil. This one is in the color Brink. This is just a kind of soft pink. Then I'm going to add just a little bit of gloss. This is just Creme Brulee from NYX, their Butter Gloss. So looking at the rest of my complexion, I'm really happy with how this looks. I would say stop right here if this is kind of, if you like a very barely there kind of bronzed and blushed sort of look, I would leave it here, keep it very, very soft and subtle. But I also think it looks really pretty to add just a little bit of extra blush to give yourself a little bit more color, especially when you're working with a cream or a liquid product because they look a little bit more natural even if you're going in a little bit more heavy-handed. So we're going to try adding just a little bit more. I just kind of want a little bit more blush, a little bit kind of higher up here on the apple of my cheek. So I'm going to take just a tiny bit more right there, and then we'll kind of blend that in. Again, I'm just kind of tapping that right over that little area right here. You can see that's just kind of pulling it up a little bit. Again, I'm just being super light-handed right now because I don't want to disturb the coverage, especially because I have a really, I don't know if you can see on under my bright lights, but I have a really pretty intense pigmentation mark here. I think it started as an acne spot and then it kind of just never healed properly, which I've heard happens as you get older. When you get acne spots, they kind of, as they're healing, they have pigmentation that kind of attaches to them and leave you with a wonderful scar. So always got to cover that thing. All right, so I think that looks really, really good. You can see that just looks a little bit more flushed, a little bit more, I don't know if bold is the right word. I still think it looks really natural, but I just have a little bit more color than before. I like them both, but definitely take your pick on how much blush you like. So you could definitely leave it here. If you have oily skin, I would recommend setting this with kind of like an Urban Decay All Nighter setting spray, the L'Oreal Infallible setting spray. I'm actually going to go in with this Milani Make It Dewy setting spray. I don't love this setting spray because it is kind of oily feeling, but it definitely does make your skin oily. So I wanted to show you guys this option for those of you that have maybe extra dry skin. But when I use this setting spray, I like to use it in very specific areas. So I like to cover kind of the center of my face and just kind of use it like this. So that's what we're going to be doing right now. It does have a really nice fine mister on it. I will give it that. All right, you guys, and that is it for the finished makeup look. This is my Drugstore glowy, dewy, glossy, glassy skin. Pick your favorite adjective, but I love this makeup look. I think it's so pretty. It's so natural looking, especially if you are someone that struggles with dry skin, especially in the spring and summertime. I think we all want to look absolutely healthy and glowing, and this is just such a perfect way to kind of do that. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this one. Let me know what you guys thought of any of these products. Have you tried any of these? Do they work for you? Do they not work for you? Let us know in the comments below. That's always so helpful to know. Thank you guys so much for all of your kind comments throughout this month, throughout the month of April. You guys are so fantastic. I love your enthusiasm. It really motivates me and gets me excited to make more videos for you guys. For those of you that are new, welcome. I hope that you will stick around and subscribe. And thank you guys all for watching today's video, and I will will see you very soon in my next one. Bye. Did I say foundation? No, concealer. Oh, Mandy. And then what is this weird like mark on my hair? Is that foundation or is that like hair dye? I don't know. Have I said if that makes sense 12 times already? I feel like I say that in every video and it's kind of annoying. You start to discover that you say the same phrases over and over again, and it can make editing very annoying for yourself. So I'm sorry if I annoy you guys, because I annoy me too. Just a little bit of the creme brulee. You probably cannot even tell the difference. I love when I'm talking about things as if there's a big difference, and then I go to edit and they look exactly the same. So my husband works from home most of the time when he's not traveling, and I can hear him upstairs watching The Office. You guys are looking at the world's biggest Office fan. Ask me any Office trivia question, I can 99% guarantee that I would know the answer. I wonder what episode he's watching. I really want to get up there and watch the rest of this Office episode. Because I haven't seen them all a dozen times. Okay, question for any of you Office fans up there. What are your favorite seasons of The Office? I could watch seasons 3, 4, and 5 on repeat, in rotation. No, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Over and over again. Especially 4. If I had to pick one season, I would probably say season 4, when Pam and Jim finally get together. So funny. Okay, the episode Fun Run, one of the funniest episodes, is the one where Michael hits Meredith with his car. This sounds really stupid and dramatic, but I truly feel sorry for people that have died and not seen The Office or read Harry Potter. Did any of you guys watch a video of me talking about The Office? I know you probably wouldn't watch it, and I probably would lose subscribers for putting that video up, but I would have so much fun making that 45-minute video.